Oh hey, how's it going? Welcome back to another video. So today we're going to be checking out another video from Bricky. Another lecture, another crash course, and more education for me regarding Warhammer 40k. Now I know a lot of you are new to the channel or just watching this video for the first time. I am very new to this franchise, and I'm new because I decided to play Space Marine 2 for the first time. When I got a taste of that, oh my god, that's the guy, right? I had to know more. I had to understand the world and this franchise as a whole. So I am now going to be surfing the internet to see if there's any more videos that I can live react to that will educate me on everything that is Warhammer 40k related. Bricky being the YouTuber that we're checking out again today. Shout out to you, Bricky, and thank you again for letting me react to your videos. So today's video is going to be the one that you guys have been asking for. Every Warhammer 40k faction explained. This is going to be the part 1 version on his videos that I'm going to be live reacting to here today. So I'm very excited for the factions to be explained to me. There's a fly in my fucking office. Fire! He got away. So I'm very excited to check out every faction, and hopefully we get to know more about the Space Marines and all the different types. I'm excited to know more about like the Ultramarines, the Death Watch, I don't really know anymore. Well, I'm excited for all of them to get explained to me. It's going to be fun, and I'm looking forward to it. I got my coffee here, and I hope you guys are ready for today's video. Leave a like if you enjoy, and make sure you subscribe to the channel because I'm going to go on a massive Warhammer 40k binge here on the channel, and you guys are joining me. So a lot of 40k reactions and videos are going to be hitting the channel very soon, and I'm just going to upload them whenever I feel like it. So you're going to see lots of videos just pop up out of nowhere, and if that's something you're into, lots of Warhammer 40k entertainment, this is the channel for you. Make sure you subscribe. All that being said, let's get into it.
As someone who doesn't necessarily serve the Omnissiah, but someone who can appreciate them, you will not be getting my legs today, as I will be replacing them with various things depending on which faction we are currently talking about to add a little bit more context and possible comedy to whatever the hell I am currently doing. So, hello everybody, my name is Bricky, and this is going to be
Hi, Bricky.
Video and a large project that has been going on for quite some time. This is, I need 2 hands for this. This is every single Warhammer 40k race in kind of a nutshell, explained, a little bit of explanation, a little bit of lore, a little bit of talking about the tabletop, but mostly lore, what they're all about, and also a little bit of background for those of you who just have no clue what Warhammer 40,000 is.
Great, that's me. I fall under that category.
40,000 is a universe people hear plenty of, but don't know a whole lot about. They see, oh, there's these dudes in big power armor with chainsaw swords, and they got these big old green orcs, and there's some bugs over there, and everyone calls these guys weebs. And then there's these spiky bitches over here, and I don't get it. I don't understand. Where do I start? Well, this video is particularly for you, or for those of you who have a little...
A heretical viewer? I'm a heretic now? Because I don't know much about Warhammer 40k? I will accept this. But I hope to rise from this.
Bit of knowledge, but you're kind of curious about each of the different races and factions in Warhammer. So overall, the Warhammer universe is...
What the hell is all of this? Wait, Valhalla? This is a map? What the
vast when it comes to lore and background, and each different faction is so different with the things that they believe in, and some are human, some are transhuman, like where they all have all these crazy ass electronics on them. You've got aliens, and you've got the chaos factions, and there's so much to entail that I decided...
The chaos factions from the warp, right?
...to embark on this project to tell you what each and every single one of them is about, and what the Warhammer universe is about as well, to give at least a little bit of an intro to this extremely bloated but very, very enjoyable world that I and many others partake in. So, I will be explaining every single faction in the Warhammer 40k universe, at least all the factions you can play as, and some smaller factions here and there.
Okay, so we're not just going to be talking about, like, the Space Marines. We're going to be talking about every race. Okay, this is a lot more than I was, expecting.
I will not be discussing absolutely everything in it because that is a little bit much, and I'm not going to go too mega deep into the lore. I'm going to give you a pretty solid overview of each of the different factions and have you learn a little bit about them, and we'll discuss a little bit of the tabletop as well in case you were curious about that. But for this
I'm a little bit curious about that, yeah.
We are discussing the Imperium of Man because that takes up a fat chunk of Warhammer lore.
So the Imperium of Man, so we're going to be covering a lot of the Space Marine stuff then.
Well,
right?
40,000 starts off is the year 40,000, the 41st millennium. That's where it takes place, is in the year 40,000, 41,000 AD.
Oh! So it's not just a cool name. It's actually got a meaning to it. 40,000 AD, the year 40,000. That's cool. I like that.
You're already more knowledgeable. Let me read you a quote, first of many quotes in this video. It is the 41st millennium. For more than 100 years, the Emperor has sat immobile on the golden throne of Earth. He is the master of mankind by the will of the gods, and master of 1,000,000 worlds by the might of his inexhaustible armies. He is a rotting carcass, writhing invisibly with power from the dark age of technology. He is the carrion lord of the Imperium, for whom 1,000 souls are sacrificed every day so that he may never truly die. To be a man in such times is to be amongst untold billions. It is to live in the cruelest and most bloody regime imaginable. These are the tales of those times. Forget the power of technology and science, for so much has been forgotten, never to be relearned. Forget the promise of progress and understanding, for in the grim, dark future, there is only war. There is no peace amongst the stars, only an eternity of carnage and slaughter, and the laughter of thirsting gods.
Jesus.
Everything blows. And it blows fucking hard.
I was gonna say, remember what I said to you guys towards the end of my last video reacting to what is 40k? Excuse me, I have a very itchy eye. I'm after coming out of the shower. My eyes are really red, and now it's itchy, and I'm rubbing it. I'm making it more red. I'm making it worse. Heresy! Anyway, like I said, this is one of those fictional worlds that nobody wants to be a part of because everything blows. It really does. Like, why would you want to be a part of this? Like, seriously.
Warhammer is probably the most dark and depressing universes ever in fiction, or at least like top 3. Everything is so absurdly horrible, destructive, or overpowered that it all kind of ends up canceling itself out. It's like Dota. War rages across the galaxy. Interstellar travel is only possible due to sacrificing 1,000 souls a day to a rotting carcass of a man who you believe to be your god. Demonic gods and just demons tear open the fabric of reality on a whim. Other Xenos or even other humans end up killing each other in untold billions across the galaxy. It is a time of unending war, slaughter, and a blood.
So, immediately I can tell that this video in particular is a lot less scripted than the previous one that I watched, because it seems like this one is just coming out of him from what he knows and his knowledge, his personal knowledge, which I kind of like, but I do like the scripted ones because they are told a lot better and worded a lot better, but I do also like this format as well because it's coming straight from him and what he knows, and it's explaining it in the best way he can, and he's giving it as much energy as he can as well, so I kind of appreciate that. But I can tell that this one is less scripted.
Bloodbath amongst everybody. Planets are deemed unrecoverable and are completely destroyed on a whim. Everything sucks. But that's like the charm of it. See, everything in Warhammer is evil, but being evil is kind of fun. Like, humanity in its own right is a xenophobic,
I love that his legs are changing,
and religious zealot group that kill each other just as much as they kill all of their enemies. And they're like mid mid to high tier evil on the evil scale of Warhammer?
My
Nobody
roles.
is good. No matter who you are, everyone is some flavor, some color of evil. Whoever you pick, you are going to be the bad guy. But that's the fun of it. Because being the bad guy is badass. Villains are cool. They look cool, they got cool outfits, they got cool weapons, they got cool armies. Villains are cool, man.
I agree.
When everyone is a villain, everyone is pretty cool. That's what makes this so charming, is that everyone can be the bad guy. So let's start off talking about.
So like there is no like you mentioned before, like there is protagonists, but there's also antagonists. But everybody sucks in this universe, and it sucks to be in this universe. Everybody's a dickhead in this universe. Nobody's really a good guy. Everybody is fighting for like all the wrong reasons all the time, doing the wrong things for things that they think is right when in reality it's wrong. Like it's so messed up and it's so backwards and pointless. That's what makes it so good. That's why I'm so intrigued by it, because it's not your typical good guy versus bad guy formula. It's not this chosen one ideology to save the universe and save mankind or just all of existence in general. It's literally just a bunch of different races duking it out in war, committing genocide constantly every day to fight for what they believe in, which is ultimately the wrong thing to believe in, and everybody's just a fucking dickhead. But they all look fucking cool doing it. Warhammer 40k, dude, it's on a different... It's on its own plane. And I'm here for it.
The main bad guy, quote unquote, the Imperium of Man.
It's hair, whack.
So this is the main
The Imperium
bad
of
guy.
Man is the main empire of the human race. All of humanity is under this one flag called the Imperium. And about 10,000 years ago, there was a man. He was the emperor of mankind, a 10-foot tall psychic demigod who led humanity across.
Okay, I'm not gonna pause this too much more after this because I do want to listen, but there is a couple of things that I want to ask you, the experts, the Warhammer 40k community watching at home. Are there any animated cinematics for me to watch? Like, I love animated cinematics because they're the best way to tell stories. Is there any there available on the interwebs for me to react to that gives me like insights to certain factions, certain characters, certain races, and certain story elements? I want to know. If there is, please let me know in the comment section, because I have to check them out. I want to react to them. I want to watch them. I want to share my reactions to you, give my opinions on them, because there's so much stuff in this that looks so beautiful from the artwork that I want to see animated. I want to see like fucking Blur Studios level quality, you know? I want to see that shit. Does it exist? If it does, don't hold out on me. I want to see them.
The stars to colonize tons and tons of worlds, create superhuman soldiers, and really bring humanity into a new age. This man, the Emperor of Mankind, was a psyker. And a psyker is like a magician of sorts. In the world of 40k,
they pull
there is the
power
warp,
out of the warp.
Immaterium,
Yeah.
kind of like hell, but sort of like a purgatory dimension of hell. And a psyker is someone who can take that power and manifest it through their mind to use it to do stuff, like witchcraft stuff, magician stuff, spells, and lots of other things, but we don't want to get too into that. The Emperor, big boy psyker, top tier, A+, maybe even S. Now, the Emperor created a bunch of sons. Yes, created a bunch of sons known as the Primarchs. He created 18 Primarchs.
Yeah, that's the second time he's done that. I don't get the joke. Is there two Primarchs we don't speak of? I'm confused. He created them. I thought he had, you know, happy times with somebody to have babies. No? He actually created them. Okay.
to have them lead all of the different legions of humanity to the different stars and planets to help colonize and bring it out. These Primarchs are basically like little versions of the Emperor. Not all of them are psychers, but a lot of them are very, very powerful, and they lead his special Space Marine legions. Then this big clusterfuck happened called the Horus Heresy, where the Emperor's favorite son, the Primarch, Horus, ended up joining Chaos and leading 9 of the 18, half of his Primarchs directly to Earth to fight down the Emperor himself. Now, if you want to know what Chaos is, remember what I mentioned earlier? The warp, that Immaterium, the hellish place? In there relies the 4 Chaos gods. Imagine like Satan and 3 other Satans. The warp being kind of evil, those Chaos gods, that's the reason. And so those Chaos gods manipulated Horus, and then Horus helped manipulate all 8 other Primarchs to lead this giant coup directly on the Emperor on Earth. And they fucked up shit.
Okay. So I just want to, I'm going to pause this video because I want to make sure I am taking everything in and I'm just not looking at a video. So the Horus Heresy is actually based on Horus, is the name of one of the sons that the Emperor created. He committed the heresy against the Emperor, I was going to say king, by taking 8 of the Primarchs, half of them, and then rising up against the Emperor, joining Chaos from the warp and fighting for them, which, no, they don't essentially join Chaos. Chaos manipulated Horus in order to overthrow the Emperor and the rest of the Primarchs. So, ultimately separating the Space Marines into 2 different groups that fight each other. Dude, do we get to fight other Space Marines in Space Marine 2? I hope so, dude. That's gonna be so cool.
After this huge civil war, Horus died, but not before brutally wounding the Emperor, and right at the end of his life, they put the Emperor on this large golden throne on Earth in which he is.
So that's what happened to the Emperor, because I don't think he mentioned that in the previous video. So the Emperor fought against Horus. Dude, this needs to be animated. This needs to be a movie. Like, I'm visualizing it in my head, and it's the most badass shit ever. I can hear Ramstein in my head right now. That's how he ended up on the golden throne. Because he was literally on his last legs. And they were like, fuck it, put him on the golden throne and keep him alive. We'll make use of his corpse by powering the fucking space travel thing.
Is now alive, just barely, but slowly rotting away, powering something called the Astronomicon, so long as he stays alive, and is fed 1,000 people a day. The Astronomicon is like the North Star. If you want to do interstellar travel in 40k, you need to pass through that demonic warp I mentioned earlier. But how do you know where you're going? Well, the Emperor is there putting a nice little navigator right there. He helps navigate you to know where you're going. If you want to go from Earth to some crazy solar system across the way, you need to go through that warp, and then you need to know where you're going, go through there, and pop your way out. It's like doing nether travel in Minecraft, so you can shorten the distance between going to areas. So long as the Emperor is alive and being fed 1,000 people a day to stay alive, you can do that. The moment he dies, interstellar travel's gone for all of humanity. You're so boned. Now, since the Horus Heresy 10,000 years ago, the Imperium has fallen from grace substantially. All technology has started to dwindle and die. There is now giant fundamental religious extremists that now believe the Emperor of Mankind was a deity, a true living god, which is probably the last thing the Emperor would have wanted to be remembered for. So now you have this thing called the Ecclesiarchy, which is this giant church entirely devoted to spreading the good word of the Emperor. He is now the holy...
I do want to ask this as well. The artwork that he uses in the video, this is all official artwork, I assume, right? This is stuff that you can find in books, online, like... I want to know like the source materials of some of this artwork, because it's one of the things that makes this video so entertaining. Is just looking at how beautifully stunning the artwork is, and like the architecture, the designs of the characters. Like Horus looks incredibly badass. He wasn't wrong when he said the bad guys look cool.
Emperor God, the God Emperor of mankind, and all of the Imperium has taken up worshiping him to the fullest extent and killing anything that isn't humanity in his name. The Imperium has this futuristic Gothic tone to it and a hefty religious zealotry to them. If you think anything against the Emperor, that's heresy and you deserve to die. That is called being a heretic. Heretics die in 40k. There is no such thing as freedom of religion. There is no such thing as freedom of speech.
Local
so long
heretic.
as you are against the Emperor. There is no such thing as any kind of tolerance. Everyone is a religious zealot. Some more than others, but no matter what, you're preaching that good word. So right now, everyone in humanity is trying to expand their empire across the stars. If you are a heretic, someone who doesn't believe in the Emperor, you are deserving of death. If you believe in the Chaos Gods, you are also a heretic and you deserve death. If you are an alien race of any kind, you are a filthy Xenos and you deserve death as well. So long as the murder continues and humanity expands, the Imperium of Man is very, very happy. However, the largest fighting force of this Imperium is my personal favorite faction, and the first faction we will discuss, the Astra Militarum, or also known as the Imperial Guard.
Okay, so this is the Imperial Guard. These are just the soldiers, right?
The Imperial Guard is the main fighting force of the Imperium, and in a world of horrifying creatures, galactic monstrosities, the literal demons themselves breaking through the fabric of time to kill you, the Imperial Guard are untold billions of regular men and women wearing modern day like flak armor with a laser rifle. This is the humble las gun. The main
probably the
weapon
worst
of the
thing to be
Imperial
in
Guard.
this universe.
It fires superheated plasma lasers at an extremely fast fire rate. It is reliable, never jams. It can blow off limbs, giant holes in concrete. It is overall an extremely devastating weapon in modern day. It is one of the weakest in the 40k universe.
I was gonna say,
a laser rifle that never jams, it could blow off limbs, one of the weakest weapons. That's the world we're in right now. But
honestly, I'm not even surprised.
The Imperial Guard has, in each battle, 500,000
That's my favorite pair of trousers on them.
these men and women. 30,000 large armored tanks, 10,000 artillery batteries. The Imperial Guard wins through sheer numbers and firepower. They kind of have this World War I, World War II style aesthetic with legions of guardsmen as well as high company commanders and generals on the field along with them, and multiple kinds of troops. A normal Imperial Guard battle starts off with artillery, long lines of artillery, cracking the crust of the planet underneath the enemy's feet. And as this barrage continues, hundreds of thousands of guardsmen, a sea of guardsmen surges forward, firing and charging at everything possible while the planet rumbles as tanks roll up behind them. Gunships block out the sun and tanks block out the dirt with the steps and hoofprints of millions of guardsmen. It is through numbers and sheer sundering firepower. They are the first and last line of defense.
So what I'm getting from this universe, especially when it comes to like the foot soldiers and the armies, there's always so many of them. Now I know Space Marines are limited to how many they can have, something like that. The armies, the foot soldiers, there's so many of them, and they have these massive artilleries, these huge tanks, these huge aircrafts, and there's millions upon millions of them. Massive, huge, grand scale, astronomical scale, right? How often do humanity breed in this universe? Like, where's all the women? Who's looking after the women? How many nurses do they have? How many doctors do they have? How do they facilitate all of this? How much raw materials are on planet Earth? How much is left? Where are they getting all the materials from? How are they able to build these things? Who's building them? Where's the engineers? Where's the normal people that are making all of these heavy artilleries and weapons possible? Where are they? Where's the retail workers, the shop workers, the people that stock bread on the shelf? Are they ever talked about? Because I'm curious to know where they are. It just feels like these humans and these soldiers are just mass produced in a factory or something by artificial intelligence, and just put out there, you know, like they just spawn in like a video game. That's what it feels like. And I know it's a fictional world, but there is a lot of logical stuff that I want to know. Can somebody explain that to me? Or is it just never explained because who cares, right? I do. I want to know. I want to make sense of it.
For the Imperium and make up a huge bulk of the battles. The Imperial Guard is also made up of tons of different kinds of regiments. The Catachin Jungle Fighters live in a death world that's more hospitable than almost any firefight they'll ever get into. So they just have this steroid-looking, giant knife, Rambo Predator-looking sons of bitches.
That's so freaking cool.
Nothing is anywhere near as scary as a simple knight on their home planet. You have the Valhallan Winter Soldiers who haven't felt their toes in 300 years. The Mordian Iron Guard who are more interested in making their shoes shine than actually fighting a battle. And then, of course, the big one, the Cadians from Cadia. The biggest export of guardsmen in the entirety of the Imperium. You will fire your first gun at 5.
Wait. I think you may have answered my question there. There's multiple planets of humanity then. Or no, is Cadia Earth? No, he mentioned that Earth has a different name and I've forgotten now. I'm so sorry, lads. I'm trying to retain all the information.
And reassemble it at 10. You will have pounding artillery drills day in and day out at 15. And you'll fight your first Swarm Lord at 16. And if you mention Cadia, you will burst into an unrelenting amount of tears and sadness like I do daily. To quote, I have at my command an entire battle group of the Imperial Guard, 50 regiments including specialized drop troops, stealthers, mechanized formations, armored companies, combat engineers, and mobile artillery. Over 500,000 fighting men and 30,000 tanks and artillery pieces are mine to command. Emperor, show mercy to the fool that stands against me, for I shall not. The Imperial Guard are my personal favorite faction in 40k. They're the army I collect the most, the ones I enjoy playing the most, and the one I enjoy in the lore sense a lot. There's something about just a regular man with a laser rifle being told to charge the horrors of this universe.
I agree with him.
Willingly doing so for his god emperor. It's just
like I agree with him. Like, although this world of Warhammer 40k is filled with the most outrageously badass looking characters and creatures and all that stuff, there's something special about a normal foot soldier holding a laser rifle going into the battle with these monstrosities. There's something special about it. It's got that underdog story about it, and I love it. And I think a Warhammer movie of some kind could be told really well through the eyes of a foot soldier. Like the horrors, the nightmares, the world that he lives in, the beliefs, the religious beliefs, the politics, all that stuff could be told really well through the eyes of a foot soldier, an underdog, if you will. And it would give like the viewer that sense of like despair and like hopelessness, knowing that this foot soldier is in a world filled with all of this chaos. There is a Warhammer 40k movie coming out, right? Who's directing it? Who's going to be in it? It better be fucking done right, because this kind of story and this world, this universe has so much goddamn potential to be something so fucking special that it needs to be done right. I don't know why I'm so passionate about this already, but I feel like I found something that I'm going to be addicted to for a very long time. There's something so special about this franchise. I'm beginning to see it. I'm beginning to understand it. And I'm all here for it.
Just poetic. They actually represent the main Imperial Guard tactics pretty well. Large amounts of artillery that doesn't require a line of sight, lots of tanks, tons of infantry, drop troops, and gunships. Overall, they're pretty similar to how they sound, though a little bit expensive to collect, unfortunately. And they don't hit a lot. They have a bit of a bad aim, but you don't really care because you're just drowning them in shots. However, if you want more accurate fire and specialization, we can move on to talk about Spetsmarines.
Yes!
The Angels of Death
Space
are up
Marines!
next. Space Marines are genetically engineered super soldiers and superhumans. They're given extra organs, their skin tissue is toughened, their bones are stronger, they're taller than the average person. They're pretty
like the super serum for
massive
Captain
people.
America, right?
And these are the specialized super soldiers that carry out a lot of the more specific tasks for the Imperium. And there's tons of legions of them. In fact, there's one per Primarch. Each Primarch, the Emperor's son, as I mentioned before, oversees their legion of Space Marines.
Right.
The genetic upgrade they get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated,
Right.
each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines, Jagatai Khan has the White Scars, Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists, Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard, and there's a whole bunch of other side sections that are also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines. They're superhumanly fast.
Wait, what? So hang on, there's 18 Primarchs, which means there's 18 different Space Marines, or 18 different legions of Space Marines. Did he say there's side legions or something?
They get is based on the genes of said Primarch. It's something called a gene.
So every Space Marine faction or that's led by a Primarch has a special gene seed. Each one is created by a special gene seed depending on the Primarch, right?
Gene seed. That's what brings them up to this like superhuman level. As stated, each Primarch has their own legion. Robot Girly Man has the Ultramarines, Jagatai Khan has the White Scars, Rogel Dorn has the Imperial Fists, Corvus Corax has the Raven Guard.
Corvus Corax with the Wolverine claws. What the fuck?
And there's a whole bunch of other side sections that are also
So what's this now? Side sections. Salamanders, Word Bearers, Iron Hands, Raven Guard, Alpha Legion. Like side sections from the original legions.
also extremely interesting and have a little bit more of a twist on the average Space Marines, which we will discuss in a bit. Humorously enough, I don't have a whole lot to say about Space Marines.
This is from a cinematic,
superhumanly
right?
Fast. In fact, it's been said that nothing that large should move that quick. These men in power armor moving at blazing fast speeds. Their reflexes are faster. Their skin
Actually,
is
you
tougher.
feel that
They
in the
are
game as
overall
well. Like, you move
extremely
really
powerful
fast.
soldiers. In fact, where they differ comes down to which Space Marine Legion we're talking about. For instance, the Ultramarines done by Robot Gilliman are the main blue boys. Strong in almost every way, the jack of all trades kind of group that are a little bit too strong.
That's from Space Marine 1, is it?
But, the White Scars by Jagatai Khan are
White
all
Scars
about
have, like,
speed freaks,
bikes and
go
shit.
fast. We're talking attack bikes. We're talking land speeders. You want to go in quick. You want to hit them hard. You want them to be swarming around.
That's
like
cool.
Buzz saws. With the speed of buzz saws.
Sorry for covering your face, Bricky.
Fuck
I
you, Pale King.
apologize.
Salamanders love fire. Fire in the forge, fire in battle. Flamers, melta-guns, multi-meltas. Just so long as something can be burning, that's big. And they're also actually some of the nicest of the Space Marines. A lot of Space Marines have this kind of like holier-than-thou thing because of their genetic strength. However, the Salamanders tend to put human lives above the lives of themselves, which is actually rather rare. They're also all black, but not like just regular black, like 2 a.m. line at a White Castle black. Like they have a charcoal, dark, ashy exterior and blazing red eyes.
What?
Apparently something about living on their home planet of Nocturne, which I don't know if that makes much sense, but who cares? This is like
Okay,
fantasy,
okay.
right?
I think. Okay. Right. So each prime, like, remember what he said? The Primax were spread across the galaxy, which means they all ended up colonizing different planets. Is that what happened? Like they ended up in different planets, and they essentially became their own race of humans. Is that what we're touching on here? And that's why all of them are different, but they're all ultimately humans. Is that what's happening here?
Salamanders are actually one of my personal favorite legions because they're just really cool. They're fun to play as because of all their flamer weapons, and they have a nice, like, more heartwarming lore as opposed to being super evil like everyone else is. Oh my god, we're not even a quarter of the way through the Space Marine Legions. Imperial Fists believe in the power of the siege and defensive positions. Raven Guards, master of stealth and sabotage while having bird helmets. Iron Hands, masters of machines and vehicles while being really goddamn good at being sold on eBay after one nerf. Space Wolves, Vikings, and Wolves.
Wow. Okay, so unfortunately he's going to speed through the Space Marines, which is fine. But we do need to react to a video that kind of becomes a little bit more specific on the Space Marines and talks more in depth about them, because that's the one thing that I'm really, really curious about. But we have like Viking Space Marines.
Tons of wolves and axes, battle axes, fur everywhere. Space wolves, angry, big teeth. Blood angels, the genetic defect to make them want to drink blood and go crazy, called the Red Thirst. They have Cupid wings and stuff, which is a little bit strange, and they are all super gay for Sanguinius. Dark angels are old school knights and inner circle theme and...
Are you a heretic?
Me? No, never. Once in a blue moon, I know.
Death Watch, fancy anti-Xenos group.
Death Watch, that's what Titus was on before he went back onto the Ultramarines.
That nobody plays because Death Watch, and they look cool though, but no one plays them. I don't know about Death Watch. They're there though. Black Templars, for the people who, if you haven't prayed at least 3 times a day, you're gonna start praying out that airlock, and I'm
that's cool.
sure there's some other chapters I may have missed as well, like Crimson Fists and stuff, but those are the main ones right here. Here, quote from the Emperor himself. They shall be my finest warriors, these men who give of themselves to me. Like clay I shall mold them, and in the furnace of war I shall forge them. They shall be of iron will and steely sinew. In great armor I shall clad them, and with the mightiest weapons shall they be armed. They will be untouched by plague or disease, no sickness shall blight them. They shall have such tactics, strategies, and machines that no foe will best them in battle. They are my bulwark against the terror. They are my defenders of humanity. They are my Space Marines, and they shall know no fear. And on the tabletop, they fuck. Oh, they fuck hard. As of making this video, Space Marines are laughably strong. That might change at some point, but overall,
look at that
Space Marines just have it's like a Swiss Army knife. A tool for anything you need, except it's like a gold-plated Swiss Army knife. It is extremely strong. If you are actually getting into the tabletop of Warhammer, Space Marines are a great start. Also, whatever gameplay style you have, whether you want to be sit back with long range and heavy weaponry, go fast and run in, or even just full melee, all of these options are totally there for you. Space Marines are super badass, but unfortunately, it's time we start praying to our new god, the 2011 Honda Civic.
So is it any wonder people are afraid
the
of
Adeptus Mechanicus.
The Adeptus Mechanicus. The Adeptus Mechanicus are a technophile cult on Mars. Now, these people are a little bit weird because they don't actually really believe in the Emperor of Mankind. And you might think, oh, whoa,
heresy.
Whoa, Berkey, that sounds like some heresy.
Yeah.
A little bit. They believe in the Emperor, they believe in his power, but they don't pray to him. They pray to something called the Omnissiah. And the Omnissiah is this kind of machine.
That's still heresy. Off with their heads!
God that they believe permeates in all machines. And if you think, well, wait a minute, they believe in a different God as well? That sounds like super heresy. Well, yes-ish, but they also make all your guns, and they make all your tanks.
Oh, well, this answers my question that I had earlier. So these guys are responsible for all of the big, heavy artillery for the war. So these guys have to be kept alive and have more bargaining power against the Emperor and the Emperor's armies, because without them, they wouldn't have an army. Well, they would. Just a bunch of naked Space Marines running around. And soldiers. Ah.
And they make everything that you have, so you can't really tell them to fuck off, because you're not gonna win nothing if you don't got stuff to shoot people with. See, their Omnissiah at least makes sense from their standpoint. They believe it to be a deity that permeates through all machines. Your Honda Civic, your standard bolt gun, your Dune Strider Walker, your giant mechs, your huge ships. The Omnissiah is present through all. And the only reason your stuff works is because the machine's spirit in it says it works. If you want your gun to work, your tank to run, you must pray to it. And I mean full stop. You need to start chanting in high Gothic. You need to burn incense. You need to sit on your knees and pray to that car. You need to rub oil on your robes, and you need to go, ahomina, homina, 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 homina. Full stop. If you want your damn thing to work, if you want your gun to fire, you need to do that. They are very bizarre, and they actually have a bit of a point, because it's obviously working. And if you look at them, I don't know how that works, so they obviously know something about what they're doing. The most notable member of the Adeptus Mechanicus is Archmagos, Magos, whatever, Belisarius Call. Look at this dude. Look at this dude. Yeah. This is the group we're talking about. These are these weirdos. Here, the Omnissiah Creed. The credo, Omnissiah. There is no truth in flesh, only betrayal. There is no strength in flesh, only weakness. There is no constancy in flesh, only decay. There is no certainty in flesh, but death. Flesh is weakness, flesh is death. The Omnissiah is the god of the machines, and if you wish to be whole, if you wish to be holy, if you wish to give unto him, you must saw down your limbs and remove your organs and replace them with mechanical parts, because that is what he wants, and that is how you will become enlightened. Hard technophiles mixed with religious extremism. Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, for their army side of things, they are with the Scutari. The Scutari operate with very bizarre weaponry and lots of different kinds of vehicles, tanks, and different people in between. They're very weird, but they have extremely wacky and enjoyable, and in fact quite effective, both in the real game and in the lore, weaponry and gear. Overall, as an army on the tabletop, they're very weird and have a whole bunch of different shenanigans, but if you like kind of that quirky, wacky techno thing, I'd give them a pickup. Hell, they're so paranoid, I gotta keep going. They're so paranoid and crazy. These Dune Striders you see right here, one guy was able to make them work. One guy, and he died. And they're so scared they'll never work again that they keep them on and they never turn them off, and they run around in a circle the whole time until they need them, and then they corral it and they go into battle. Yep. The Adeptus Mechanicus. Now, if you want to talk about faith, though.
What?
Let's talk about the Sisters of Battle.
A simp has fallen for an ego
Adepta Sororitas.
The Sisters of Battle.
Okay, so the one thing that I know I'm going to struggle with is remembering the names of everything. I know I'm going to struggle with that. That's the one thing that I'm just incapable of retaining in my head, especially when the names are like this. This whole thing's crazy. But I love it.
Of the Adeptus Sororitas, if that's how I pronounce it correctly,
Adepta
is an
Sororitas.
all-female group of battle sisters going through the ecclesiarchy section of the Imperium. The ecclesiarchy is, of course, the church. This is, imagine a private army of the church, which is scary. And it is. The sisters are an extremely zealotous force, and they take this to a full extreme. They believe in three main things: faith, martyrdom, and fire. Through the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, the Sisters of Battle are extremely potent at taking out chaos and heretics. Mainly heretics, because as they are a fighting section of the ecclesiarchy church, that's the big thing they want to kill. Any form of heretic will face the Emperor's justice through those three main weapons: the bolter, the flamer, and the melta, and they will do so with extreme
We've used
prejudice.
the melta.
Literally. They are the closest things we have to nuns in space, and I'm talking hardcore nuns. They carry holy fire on their backs. They have holy like books and sigils all across their armor. Their main battle tank is a fucking pipe organ missile launcher. They have small babies that they have like removed their brain capacity to make them little servant cherubs to fly around and give them ammunition and shit. They drop
That's the Lange babies in the game.
from low orbit as mini drop pods onto battles. They drop churches into battles and they blare war hymns and holy music from their frigates in low atmosphere and shower holy water across the battlefield. This
is so goddamn over the top. Fuck off. This is so over the top, batshit ridiculous, dude. Like they go with they to pick a theme for these different factions, and man, they take it to the fucking stratosphere and beyond when it comes to how ridiculous they can go with it. They drop churches as drop pods and blare religious symphonies from above. Like, talk about making a fucking entrance. This is fantastic.
are the people you are dealing with, and they're fucking awesome. They can literally stave off demons on the tabletop because their faith is that strong. Remember the warp, the demons from the warp?
Yeah.
Well, the warp also manifests in your mind. All of your emotions, negative and positive, go through the warp. It's the immaterium, the place of all things. So if you are that mentally fortified, that mentally strong, you can stave off horrifying demons. And all these girls, oh, not a crack. Not a crack in that mental armor. Now, as much as a meme as they are, and as much as their models look a lot like Ongo Gaboglian,
Oh no, that's what their models look like? Why?
Which I can't unsee anymore. I gotta say, I love their design. I think they're extremely cool. They're another
cool.
army that I'm currently collecting. They just released a whole new line of figures very recently, and they look wonderful. Everything from Celestine, the living, literally undying saint, from the triumph of Saint Catherine, which is literally a funeral procession as a model. Those organ tanks I mentioned earlier. This shit is the most over the top
that's a tank.
badassery
Holy
in
shit.
a lot of the Warhammer universe, and goddamn it, is it over the top. But Sisters of Battle are so cool. While I'm a guardsman at heart, oh, this is such a cool faction. By Bolter Shell, Flamer Burst, and Melta Blast, the mutant, the heretic, and the traitor alike are cleansed of their sin of existence. So it has been for 5 millennia, so shall it be until the end of time. And speaking of burning demons,
I can see.
The Grey Knights. Are they
Grey
Marines?
Knights are the first army I actually collected back in 7th edition. The Grey Knights are a super secretive and much more old school look at power armored knights, except they are all psychers. All of them have that crazy space magic magician shit. For every 100,000
they look so cool.
There's one Grey Knight. For every 10,000 Sisters of Battle, there's one Grey Knight. For
Only
every
one.
1,000 Space Marines, there's one Grey Knight. Grey Knights are the strongest of the strong, both in mental will and absolute just strength. These are Space Marines that are all high-level psychers, all of them able to specifically do one goal, and that is kill demons. The Emperor believed that the demons of chaos were the #1 threat to the Imperium, and he probably is right. However, this group is entirely based on doing that through a myriad of tactics. Coming from the planet, or I guess the moon, of Titan in the Sol system, the Grey Knights are thrown through extremely rigorous training and are as clear of mind and soul as they possibly can be. Since the demons of the warp are the warp and your mind projects to the warp, people can go insane very fast, especially lower level psychers. These Grey Knights need to be able to harness the warp in the presence of demons and stay perfectly sane. One of their characters, one of my favorite characters, is named Castellan Crow. He has a demon blade, the black blade of Mahamahama, and he has to have it on him because it tempts everyone nearby, constantly beckoning them. Use my power, use my strength, suck my penis, whatever the possibility. And so he has to keep it on him all the time as this thing whispers to him consistently, and he has to stave it off forever, being alone in his chambers or on the battlefield, because anyone who gets too close to it might be tempted a little too hard. He is that pure of heart and mind, and all the characters in the Grey Knights are basically
so
like
cool.
that. The only issue is that Grey Knights have a scorched earth policy, more ways than one. If they're fighting demons, demons corrupt and make people crazy. So if I'm a guardsman and I'm fighting demons and the Grey Knights arrive and they kill all the demons, I'm a risk.
So they kill him.
And so guess who's not making it out of there? On the tabletop, they're very strike fast, strike hard kind of people. They teleport all around the place. They are fast strike groups, small amounts of models because they're so dang strong. You only have so many characters, but with it, you get in there, you're very tough, very tanky, you hit really hard, and you try to bounce around the battlefield quickly, but you don't have numbers, and so every dead Grey Knight hits really damn hard. They're fun, though, if you like that kind of fast-striking kind of army. Oh, and also, Caldor Drago is a thing. We're not even going to get into Caldor Drago. All right, that is, oh my goodness gracious. I am
what?
The hammer.
Who's that?
I am the mail about his fist. I am the spear in his hand. Though we are lost, I am the shield on his arm. I am the flight of his arrows. I am the hammer. I am the sword. I am the shield. I am a soldier at the battle at the end of time. Grey Knights are pretty hardcore. They are as holy as you can get for a Space Marine. If you like Space Marines and you want to, you know that they're holy enough, you want to be holier, Grey Knights. Now, if you want to be holier and big, let's talk Imperial Knights.
Oh, what? Okay, so the Grey Knights are Space Marines, correct? But they don't originate from Primarch, correct? So they're a separate legion of Space Marines that are there to eradicate the unholy. And now we have Imperial Knights, which I'm assuming is another separate Space Marine faction. So there's the I'm trying to understand the Space Marines and stuff. The 18 Primarchs had their own legions, right? So that's 18 different legions that served their own purpose and whatever. Then they separated and fought each other, blah, blah, blah. So now there's other side Space Marines that don't fall under the Primarch's rule, but still serve the Emperor. Am I right?
Oh, Lord, he coming!
Do you like gigantic walkers the size of homes?
Yes.
Or medium-sized buildings?
Yes.
Do you want to kill heretics, but you want to kill like 40 of them per turn?
Yes.
Do you want a gigantic, old-school knight noble house style of walkers with giant chainsaw arms? Then
Yes.
you've got Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights, it's not a whole lot to talk about them because they're just gigantic walkers, but they have this old-school, like, house feel to them. Like, literally, like they're houses. Each Imperial Knight comes from a house.
Wow.
And each of them
This
act
is
in their
another
own
cinematic.
special
What's
way.
this from?
These behemoth of walkers also destroy almost everything in their path, killing full swaths of squads in a couple shots, stepping on legions of troops. Like, these things do not mess around. And they look so cool. Imperial Knights and Chaos Knights, actually, for that matter, don't have a whole lot to discuss. They're just super big, heavy
Chaos
walkers.
Knights.
And they look different depending on your house or chaos god you currently believe in. And overall, these things are just really cool if you want to murder everything in your path. They're the big, scary, big unit of Warhammer. And if you want to collect them, go to town. They make for a great painting project, too. Getting more back down to earth, let's talk something about a little bit of...
So they're not Marines, they're more like machines that the Marines use, right? They're not actual... Okay.
a little bit different, a little more gold.
The Adeptus
If guardsmen are
Custodes.
regular soldiers, Space Marines are super soldiers, Grey Knights are super soldiers, the Adeptus Custodes are super soldiers cubed. The Adeptus Custodes are the third major army I own. I know, 3 armies. I know, I got carried away, okay? But that's all. I only have 3, okay? They are our final brand.
Once you start,
of
you
Space
can't
Marines,
stop, I'm
but
guessing.
These ones are super special. Okay, if a guardsman is 6 foot, a space marine is 7 feet, a custodian is 8 feet. These are the giant defenders of Holy Terra, which is also Earth. Earth is Terra. Earth, Terra.
Terra
themselves.
is Earth.
These
Okay.
are the people that literally guard the Emperor's throne room. Hence,
Oh.
custodes. These boys protect the Emperor's throne room at all times and are literally like handcrafted people. They're not humans brought up by a gene seer or something. These are all handcrafted super soldiers. I think from a tube. These behemoth of men are like 8 feet, 8.5 feet tall, and functionally immortal. They stand still, spear in hand, for hundreds of years without the need to sleep and barely even the need to eat, watching over the throne room and every other area of Holy Terra for their entire purpose in life. And oh my lord, are they terrifying. These custodians put Space Marines to shame. If you like
The
your
gold
super
pants.
soldiers, these are your super mega soldiers. One of these men can take on probably 3 Space Marines and most likely win. There are many different groups of custodians as well, like the Solar Watch, or there's also one of my personal favorite, the Aquilian Shield. The Aquilian Shield go out to seemingly unimportant individuals and protect them because they believe that they are going to be doing something very important in their lives. For instance, let's say a regular guardsman gets the protection of this giant 8.5 foot tall golden god because that guardsman will end up becoming a general one day or something of that nature. The custodians work in mysterious ways and are almost always outnumbered but never outmatched. These people are pretty horrifying, both on the tabletop as well as in the lore. There are very few of them, however.
Wow,
There's
they're
actually
so
an extremely
cool.
small amount of them. But that's kind of the point. There's only so many of these people that can have war gear this strong, weapons this powerful, and training this good. And the custodians have all 3 of it. For 100 years, I stood my watch amidst the somber shadows of the Sanctum Imperialis. I was still as a statue, but always ready. Always attuned to dangers unseen. Days, months, years passed by in a frenzied blur beyond those walls, yet within little moved and nothing changed. For 100 years I did not but wait, yet had any threat appeared I would have struck it down in a heartbeat. For 100 years I stood my watch, and as it ends I can tell you this: patience is a weapon. The custodians are the top dogs of the Imperium, and they hurt just that same way. Though I do want to discuss a little bit about the Sisters of Silence before we get out of here, because the Sisters of Silence I also have a few of, and they're really fun, but they don't get enough attention. These kind of bald plume ladies are a whole group of pariahs, are also known as blanks. We'll be referring to them as blanks from now on. So as every mind is somewhat
Blanks?
connected to the warp, these blanks are a genetic mutation that has it suppressed heavily. Because of that mind suppression, normal people feel this weird, like, uncomfortable nature when around them. When a Sister of Silence walks past them, you feel ill. You feel just uncomfortable and strange. So most of them don't actually live past childhood, because once they are birthed, they're, well, you know, killed or something at a very young age because they just emit a horrifying aura. These ladies, however, are guardians of the throne as well for more psychic threats. See, none of the custodians are psychers, so they have a difficult time dealing with major demons and other kinds of psychic phenomena. These sisters are extremely specialized in it, all of them taking a vow of silence as they don't speak, hence the term Sisters of Silence, but they communicate through hand gestures and things of that nature. But if there's a demon issue, if there's any kind of warp-based problem, the sisters are extremely adept at dealing with them, thanks to their blank gene. They normally work a lot of time with the custodians because they have to deal with both kinds of threats, but they're not represented that way on the tabletop. In fact, they only have like one real model for them, which is very unfortunate. I hope they'll get something new soon, because I think they should really be working together as it is that way in the lore, but hopefully we'll get there soon. But if we're talking about blanks, let's talk assassins.
My precious power ring gone for
You guys weren't kidding when you said there's a lot with 40k, dude. You weren't genuinely, you weren't kidding. But I feel like it's all sinking in. Like, I am absorbing this pretty well. I am one that's very easily to kind of lose interest or clue out, but I've been pretty locked in with what's being explained to me. The only thing I can never remember is the name for things. But them gold dudes, see, you've already forgotten their names. Imperiums. One of the most impressive things I've heard so far in this, the fact that they are the strongest space marine that don't come from a Primarch. These are biologically created or built. These beings are built, basically built, to have this overwhelming power and skill. No need for food, no need for sleep. Well, barely. Can stand still for hundreds of years guarding the Emperor. And when you face them, you're gonna lose. Simple as. That is so incredibly cool. So incredibly cool. I love that. I love the fact that there is more Space Marines, but they are on a different level to your regular Space Marines that serve a particular purpose. Warhammer 40k seems to have, like, every faction that have been explained to me, they all have a purpose. They all have order. They have something to follow. They have something that they beeline towards. A belief, a fate, a religion. They all follow a purpose, and they all have this order in a world of chaos. I've never seen anything that had so much order and chaos at the same time. It's so fascinating.
It's been a long video. We're about to round it out. We got this and one more human thing, and then we're done. The assassins, though, the Officio Assassinorum, oh boy, these people are deadly. Yeah, they're called assassins. They should be, but oh man, these people will mess you up. So these are from the Officio
I love how passionate he is.
A very special organization, and they are handpicked by the Grand Master of the Officio Assassinorum from the
Grand
What was
Master.
it called? Scola Progenium. It's
I'm
basically
glad
an
he
orphan
struggles
school.
too.
Your parents got murdered by demons or something. You get sent to this, and you get trained to be whatever. Tempestus Drop Troop, an Inquisitor, maybe even.
Wow,
maybe
Bloodborne
you get,
vibes.
Blank Gene, and you get thrown into the Sisters of Silence, or sometimes you just disappear. When you are taken, however, you go to one of 4 temples, because the Assassinorum works in the temple style of things. These temples are the Vindicare, Caluxus, Calidus, and Eversor temples. Let's start with the Vindicare. I'm far away. I've been sitting here for 3 weeks. Poof! The Vindicare temple is the main sniper-based temple. Gigantic sniper rifles for all these assassins. Their whole point is to be able to be in a spot and sit there, eye and scope, for weeks, waiting for their perfect target, taking people out from literal miles away after extremely long time periods. The Vindicare Temple is about precise, perfect aim. There have been reports of Vindicares being able to single out particular body parts from over 2-3 miles away. Temples in the head, the jugular, for instance, and been sitting there after weeks. And when they're ready, take that shot, time is done, packs them up. The Calidus Temple, however, is a lot more about shape-shifting and deviant. It's mostly a female-based one, or at least it seems to be, and this allows a lot of body augmentation for certain individuals to be able to kind of transmorph themselves and infiltrate areas that are problems. These assassins will end up taking missions that take them years, 2-3 years, to infiltrate a heretical group and slowly work their way up, just to get enough time to put a bullet into the main target's head and then escape unharmed, or become the main target and sabotage it from within. These are all completely about deception, mind tricks, polymorphing, and everything in between. And lots of drawings, lots of drawings. The Eversor Temple. just kind of disturbing.
Whoa.
One. The
Look at
Eversor
the
Temple
skull
is
head.
about when you don't want anything to come back alive, friend or foe. You want it all dead. An Eversor is psychogenically conditioned with just psychotherapy and psychological torture to only feel violence, hatred, and anger. It does the Clockwork Orange style of thing of just making you forced to watch never-ending pain and misery and psycho conditioning, I guess is the term. And then they pump you full of tons of psychedelic drugs and they cryo-freeze you. And then they drop you in an area where they just want to make sure everything is dead. And then you defrost, full of just all this insane, mind-boggling psychotherapy and psychedelic drugs, and you just go to town. Yeah, if you don't care if anyone comes back alive. You're like, all right, lost cause, send them in. Finally, there's the most bizarre temple.
What the hell?
Caluxus Temple. The Caluxus assassins are feared even among the other temples. So that blank gene, the people will go to the Caluxus Temple with this as well. And this is where they can harness that to be massively anti-psyker or even just anti-regular people. They are seen with extreme fear and distrust among many, many people. They are described by the Eldar by quote as being pure evil. Imagine that uncomfortable feeling from that blank gene I mentioned, and then imagine them being taught and given equipment to amplify it by 100. If normally regular people feel uncomfortable, now they are basically akin to being a siren wailing directly in your ear. And if you're a psyker, oh no. The sheer presence of a Caluxus assassin is enough for you to tear your skin off. You will rather gouge your eyes out and rip your nails off than even being near this person. The Caluxus assassin is when you want psychers to literally lose their minds, and they will go on their knees and ask you to gun them down because it is a suitable choice over being anywhere near you. The motto of that temple is, "That which is unknown and unseen commands the greatest fear." Now, for the tabletop, assassins aren't that special. You can call them in no matter what Imperium faction you are, and they do a lot of work for themselves, but at the same time, they're very specialized and require a lot of finesse. And they work the way you generally want them to, though. You want to cause some distortion and weird stuff, you take a Calidus. You want to just murder swaths of infantry and then blow up Eversor. You want to kill that one guy, Vindicator, and if you have a lot of psychers, Caluxus. It's a nice little, like, jack of all trades if you have a specific thing you want to kill. And you get to choose which is really fun. But now,
that's cool.
Let's talk about the last human faction.
All right, here we go. The last one.
Part 2, the Inquisition. And
the Inquisition. Okay.
Well, on the subject of heresy.
Oh boy, where do I even begin with the Inquisition? Take every secret police you can think of. The KGB, the Gestapo, the CIA, FBI, any of these kinds of people. And then mark it up by about 10 and give them the most power in the entire Imperium. No, you know what? How about this? This right here, it's not just a quote. This is the imperial motto, the motto of the Inquisition. I apologize for my bad pronunciation. Innocentia nihil probat. Innocence proves nothing. The most powerful organization in the Imperium, the secret police, their number one motto is innocence proves nothing. The Inquisition goes around like
such hard artwork. I love it.
To find issues
it goes
in
so
the
hard.
Imperium. And they have different ordos depending on which one we're talking about. The Ordo Hereticus, the Ordo Xenos, the Ordo Malleus, for instance, and a whole bunch of other ones. Hereticus is obvious, they deal with heretics. Xenos tries to find alien threats, and Malleus is demons. They all have different specializations in what they're trying to go for as this Inquisitor. And that's what they're called, Inquisitors. Each of them, as an Inquisitor, has their own free reign to do as they wish. They may have a ship and a crew, and they go out to find problems and interrogate people a lot. They are above the law in every department over Space Marines. Now, the Space Marines might argue against them and stuff, and there might be a lot of blowback, but technically they are above them as Inquisitors. They are looking to investigate and figure out coups and cults and demonic incursions and possible Xenos issues like gene stealers or a new threat coming into an area. They're about learning that stuff and actually doing detective work. And memes aside, they're pretty good at it. The Inquisition having all of this power does make them a little bit power hungry and frantic sometimes.
Could
And
imagine.
yes, it is still a bad thing, but most of them are pretty good at their job. And they spend a lot of time being very diligent to make sure that all of these leads they follow are proper and correct. They're basically space detectives with just enormous power and sometimes a bit of a power complex. And we haven't even talked about Exterminatus yet. Exterminatus is deeming a planet unfit to be saved. I deem that this planet is demon infested and taking it back will cost too many resources and is not worth it. I have now committed Exterminatus on this planet.
Genocide.
I will now sign the death warrant of an entire Imperium planet as it is unfit to take and better to be destroyed than allow the enemy to hold it. This can mean saturation bombardment. This can mean cracking the planet's core and breaking it apart. Doesn't matter. Render this planet inhospitable to all life. Yes, the innocents proves nothing people are the only people who can choose this planet must die in its entirety. Yeah,
Holy
you're playing
fuck.
the villain. Now, it is memed a lot, but most Inquisitors are very rare to do Exterminatus. Exterminatus is a very crazy thing. There's only so many worlds that you don't want to destroy all of them. Now, naturally, with the memes aside, there are some people who are a little bit rough on this one.
It is script, man.
But most Inquisitors generally don't like to do Exterminatus a ton, but it is an option they have. And it's a crazy option when you think about it. Secret Police Inquisition are unfortunately not represented on the tabletop very much. You generally kind of put one in your army if you feel like it. You have a couple special options there and some side content, but they're not really fleshed out very well, and personally they need a lot more stuff put in there, and they really need a lot more effort put into them, and they're not quite where I want them to be. Overall, the Inquisition makes for a lot of the best storytelling as well, because it's a little bit hard to talk about a big story of a whole bunch of Space Marines killing something, right? It's just a big battle story. It's not as interesting. Having that intrigue and that moral dilemma that an Inquisitor has makes for a lot better media. And honestly, the more people do it,
better
I
storytelling.
think it's better, because then it adds a little more humanity to the Warhammer horrible, horrible grimdarkness. And wow, we just finished the humans. All right, come back for part 2 when we talk about Chaos and Xenos, because we got to talk about the 4 Chaos gods and all the
Oh
Chaos
shit, that's
Marine
gonna be a
legions,
good one.
and the Tau and the Necrons and the Orcs, and oh boy, we got a lot. I'll see you in part 2.
My God, Bricky, thank you so much again for explaining that to me. Huge thumbs up. Oh, I've already given it a thumbs up. There's another thumbs up for you. I'm actually left a little bit speechless after watching that and consuming so much information. Now, I know a lot of people have reached out and said to me, kind of take your time with this franchise and try not to consume too much because it can get very overwhelming, and that's very true. Like, watching this video alone, I did feel a little bit overwhelmed with how much information there was and how many different factions there are in the human side of things. We haven't even got to the warp and the chaos and all that stuff, so it's gonna get even more complex. But I feel like Bricky done a good job in explaining it to me in a way where it's not overly complex and give me a nice, clear understanding of each and every one of the factions. Now, this world is expansive. It's huge. The lore goes so deep, and it goes far back over 30, 40 years, you guys have been saying to me. And that's a lot of world building and universe building to happen over the course of a few decades. That's insane. So of course, this is going to be one of those bottomless pits of lore that a lot of people might find very difficult to get into. But there's something about this. There's something about this franchise that really resonates with me very well. I really like it. Like, I seem to be absorbing everything rather well. I like the things that have been told to me. I like this information. I just find it so fascinating and so entertaining that I don't think it's going to be an issue for me. Now, I say that now. And I know a lot of you are saying, oh, you sweet summer child, you don't know anything yet. This is but a fraction of what this whole universe is about. And I'm aware of that, but I'm here for it. I'm here for it. Like, I'm more invested in this than I was of the Halo universe. And I love Halo and I love its story. I love all that stuff. But I don't think I was invested into the lore and the story of Halo than I am with 40k. Because this has so much that you can sink your teeth into. Every faction has a story, every faction has its lore, it has its characters and its world and its planets that you can't help but want to dive deeper into it. Like, I want to let this be known that I'm not here to try consume everything all at once, because that's just dumb. You can't do that because there is so much. But there's going to be a lot of things that I'm going to handpick myself to explore. Right now, the Space Marines to me are the coolest thing in this. And I think they're always going to be the coolest thing in this, because it's kind of where this all started. You know, with the Emperor and the Primarchs and the Legions. And I think that's so cool, and I want to explore each and every one of the Primarchs and their stories and their Legions and their Space Marines and what they do and their purpose for the Emperor, their purpose against the Emperor. Like, that's the one thing that I'm very interested in. But all of this other stuff is so fascinating, and like I said, I've never come across anything that was so full of chaos, but in an orderly fashion. It makes no sense. It cancels it out. It feels like this whole world and everything in it cancels itself out with its beliefs, with its worlds, its politics, everything. It's just a whole bunch of nonsense, but it makes sense. And it's just batshit over the top crazy, and that's what makes it so goddamn interesting. There is no playing it safe with this franchise and this universe. There is none of this typical, general, stereotypical protagonist versus antagonist story. This is just crazy, insane, bloodthirsty warfare, genocide, lunacy, all rolled up into this big ball of chaos. And I think that's what makes it so intriguing. I really like this. Now, I really like this. So I said, I'm going to, because I know if I don't do this for YouTube, that I won't be able to have the time to delve into the lore and to the story of 40k. So I'm going to take advantage of this YouTube channel, and I'm going to live react to what I can. I'm going to educate myself with this franchise with what I can, and make videos of it so I can share my opinions like this to you. And this is probably the best way to me to educate myself. I won't be able to do this in my free time because the free time won't be there. I'll be doing other things with YouTube instead of this, if that was the case. But I'm going to delve into 40k on this channel a lot going forward. And it's nothing to do with the views and stuff. And that's nice. It's great. It's getting views and you guys are interested. But ever since I played Space Marine, that was strictly just going to be content for YouTube, but also enjoyment for me at the same time, because that's what I kind of want to do. I want to mix my work with what my passion is, which is gaming and just, you know, fictional worlds and stuff like that. But it just seems that Space Marine 2 was that was the gate. That was the gateway into this franchise. And now I'm here. And I know how deep the hole is. I'm looking at it right now and I just see darkness, but I want to jump in. I want to see how far I can go. I'm locked in. So it's up to you, the viewer, to enjoy these videos. You want to see a fresh new perspective on it, somebody educating themselves with the 40k franchise and falling in love with it. This is your time to shine. Let me know in the comment section. What should I watch? What should I react to? What cinematics should I look at? What other deep dives should I look at? What other explanation videos should I look at? What other bricky videos I should look at? What other YouTubers I should check out that explain things better or have a wider understanding of the lore? Let me know so I can create the content for you guys. I don't know why I'm like this right now. I feel full of adrenaline whenever I hear anything from 40k now, because it's such a badass franchise. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in my next video.